Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Football Inc. It's Sunday. Happy Sunday. It's 2 o'clock. It's lunchtime. We've only got one more Sunday to go. This is it. In fact, this is the final Sunday before we get back to football. We've broken the back of international break, and we're getting there, Johnny. We are getting there, mate. I hope you guys watching this are all happy and healthy, doing the things you love. Please do smash the like button. If you get a chance, whenever you can, we really appreciate it. It helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. Give that bell a little yell. And drop a comment thick and fast. Let us know your thoughts on today's topics. We are also, guys, as always, available on Spotify and Apple Pods. So if you do like walking the wife and would rather be listening to us than her, then make sure that you find us over there. Links are in the description. Or just search for Football Inc. And we appreciate any 5-star reviews and all that stuff that you can give us. Lots to get through. Lots of news regarding Sean Dyche maybe coming in as Nottingham Forest manager. I mean, we'll start there, Johnny. But how are you, my man? Good to see you, buddy. You okay?
All good. Yeah, all excited. Only 6 more sleeps before the football season starts. 6 more sleeps. Can hardly wait. These international breaks, they're not great. They're only good for holidays. In fact, I met an agent out here for Ruth. Funny enough, I said, I know why you're out. He goes, why is that? I said, international break. He said, yeah, boredom. So
an agent for who? Ruth.
Ruth. ROOF. Ruth.
What's that?
It's an agency. It's a football agency.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So can't wait to actually get back and be back talking. Well, we're talking football, but have more meat on the bone, Sean. There's not a lot of meat on the bone. We're like picking through scraps in the bin at the moment. But there's always a good story out there, and the Sean Dyche one, which is where we're going to start, replacing ANGE, not got a clue, is a good place to begin. So, what have you got?
Well, let's have a look, see, shall we? About the let's get the story up. From the Telegraph, is it going to give me the chance before it puts up the block? I think we're okay. Let's have a look, see, and see what it is saying. It's saying that Sean Dyche. No, they've done it. They've screwed me with the block. Let me go to the BBC instead. Then that'll do, and we'll go to this particular article. Forest to consider Dyche if Postecoglou is sacked. Let me get rid of that. And here's the story, mate. Nottingham Forest will consider Sean Dyche as a replacement for Ange Postecoglou should they decide to part ways with their under-pressure head coach. Sport reported last week that Postecoglou's future at the City Ground was the subject of increasing uncertainty following a 7-match winless start to the Australians' reign. Listen, I've been watching, look, I won't bore the details, but in a nutshell, he would come with him, Ian Wone and Steve Stone, as part of Sean Dyche. And that's something that is of a little bit of interest to some of the Forest fans. But I've been watching a lot of Forest fan TV stuff, a lot of other various channels. And the general take is if Sean Dyche is the option, then I'm going from Ange out to Ange in. Where do you sit on it, Johnny?
I mean, what has happened? What has happened? Has Marinakis been in the Greek sun for far too long? I mean, first of all, getting rid of Nuno. Then the point in Ange. I mean, maybe it's like he's going down the scale. You know, if you after Nuno, he should have been going upwards. Sean Dyche, lovely, great character, one of the great characters of football.
Is he not just Ange Postecoglou in English format? When people are doing their accents, all you got to do, mate, is like rather than going up like this, and in every sentence, you just go down like this.
Sean Dyche
and Postecoglou are the same.
Sean Dyche with that, but Sean Dyche is a little bit more pragmatic. In fact, a lot more pragmatic.
Oh no, yeah. Managerially, they're chalk and cheese, but in terms of like their speaking voice,
just add an Aussie accent to Dyche. But look, we've seen what happened at Burnley when he left. They got a bit better, and we see what happened with Everton. They got better. No, I can understand, but how bad is it for Forest fans that they have the choice between Ange not got a clue and Sean Dyche? I mean, surely they should be looking at upcoming talent, because I believe that squad is a really good squad, Sean. You know, a top manager would have a field day with that squad. I looked through that squad, and there's lots to like about it, honestly. 2 great centre-backs, good wingers, great midfield, plenty of options up front, pace on the flanks, honestly. The only good thing, I suppose, coming up is Chelsea have got a few problems. Enzo Fernandez got injured on international duty. They've got about 5 or 6 of their centre-backs out injured. So maybe Chelsea could be the turning point for them. But should they lose that game?
Oh no, they've just done Newcastle. Then they got Chelsea, and then who they got after that? Bournemouth.
Porto,
then Bournemouth. Yeah, in Bournemouth. I mean, and Bournemouth away as well. At
yeah, so it could be. I mean, this could be. 3 managers in a season. Not even a season. In how long? 3 in 4 months, is it?
3 and 4 months, yeah. I mean, I think July, I think he was let go, wasn't he? Let me ask you this. Let me put a spin on it. Is there any chance that these rumours are deliberately placed into the zeitgeist by Marinakis in order to rally the Nottingham Forest fans around Ange? Because he surely wouldn't want Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche is the sort of guy that you bring in if you're in a relegation battle. Marinakis' mindset is we always win. Therefore, he surely wouldn't be thinking that Nottingham Forest are capable of getting sucked into it. Who knows whether that will remain to be seen. It's still very early in the Ange Postecoglou tenure. I know he's had a terrible start, 7 games without a win. And look, you can make the argument that some of these players are starting to kind of go, I'm getting a bit fed up with this already. But is there an argument that the Sean Dyche story is a plant to try to rally the fan base behind Ange? Because a lot of the time it's the zeitgeist that creates the energy, that creates the atmosphere, that creates the narrative, right? So, I mean, I'd be absolutely gobsmacked if Sean Dyche was genuinely the leading candidate. If someone like Rafa Benitez, someone like him, someone like Lopetegui, someone like one of these guys out of Germany, one of these young guys out of Germany, like an Edin Terzic, if someone like that came along, then maybe, fair enough, I could envision Marinakis pulling the trigger because he's a little bit gung-ho like that. But Sean Dyche, especially after what we spoke about, sorry, I almost finished. So, especially after all summer when you heard when we were talking about it, like the way that the squad was being shaped, it looked like it was being shaped for someone other than Nuno. 100%. Then to bring in a Sean Dyche that's back to Nuno ball anyway, like just a worse version of it. Surely there's no meat on this bone, is there? Madness.
I believe that you should really be giving a new manager 50 games to give a snapshot. In fact, I'm looking here. Like the first 50 games in charge for Arteta, for example, he won 27. Drew 10, lost 13, scored 79 goals and conceded 48. And then you look at someone like Ruben Amorim, his first 50 games, he's only won 19. Yeah, he's drawn 12, lost 19 and conceded 76 goals.
Was that Ruben Amorim?
Ruben Amorim.
Did you see that? Did you see that tweet that was put out saying Amorim wins his 50th game in charge? And then someone went, he hasn't won 50 games. He just happened to win his 50th game.
Yeah. But my point is, whatever I may think of Ange, I think it's too early to sack him. If you've sacked Nuno to bring in the guy that you want, the guy that you have faith in, you can't be getting rid of him after 7 games. I mean, they've had a tough run. Obviously, if it carries on and on and on, then obviously, but I just think it's way too early. And as Wolfie's done a complete 360 from wanting him out to having seen the Sean Dyche news, wanting him back in. I mean, if it was Iriola, I'm sure there would be a protest for Ange to go ASAP. But no, for me, Sean Dyche, no. Great character, but I wouldn't want him managing my club.
Who would? In fact, I've got a list here. Who would be? So the sports casting. Let me see. Doing
that, I was just saying. Shawn Michael's saying, when is the right time to be sacked, Johnny? If he loses his next 2, he has to go. Granted, if he loses his next 2, the pressure's on. But we've seen Alex Ferguson, for example, was on the brink of getting the sack with the amount of defeats that he had when he took over at Man United. I'm not putting him in the same milk as that. We saw Brendan Rodgers' terrible start as Brentford manager, where he couldn't win a game. We saw Iriola's horrendous start as Bournemouth manager, where he couldn't win a game. So I hear your point. I get you. I'm not a massive fan of Ange's, but I still think you just got to let the dice roll out for a little bit longer, maybe to the end of November. And if it's still not improving, then you've got to cut your losses. I mean, look, what about the Palace?
It'd be a fantastic bit of data to go and I just did a couple of searches and I can't find anything obvious to bring to our attention. You talk about Sir Alex Ferguson that had a several poor seasons before he got going, but I'd love to know specifically the worst managerial start to a Premier League manager's campaign who hung around and then went on to win a trophy.
Well, I think it probably would be Fergie might be up there. But look at the Palace manager. What's his name from Holland? That lasted, what was it, 6 games? What was his name?
The Palace manager from Holland.
Yeah, who got sacked. He got sacked very quickly. It come to me. Frank de Boer.
Frank de Boer, yeah.
Yeah, Frank de Boer. I knew it would come to me. I mean, Maisie's asking me, would I have sacked Nuno? The fact about Nuno is, the only thing I would say about Nuno, and the bit of information was sketchy at the time, we didn't think much of it, was the fact that Daniel Levy didn't allow Nuno to bring his backroom staff. He said, we got backroom staff, you don't need yours. It's the only time he's not had his backroom staff. He had them at Forest, he had them before Forest, and he had them in Saudi. So maybe he was a rudderless ship without his guy that he's worked with for many, many years. Well, Ange doesn't have that problem. This is the first time Ange Postecoglou has taken backroom staff with him. He's always made a call. When he came to Spurs, I don't care. I work with new people. I don't need
the backroom staff that he formed at Tottenham.
That's what I'm saying.
And oversaw the worst Tottenham form in the Premier League that Tottenham have put together since, I don't know, the 70s or something.
But I mean, he did the opposite of what he said he was going to do. He goes to a new club and brings in new people. He's done the complete opposite. He's took all the people that were at Spurs with him. But
they weren't particularly impressive at Tottenham, were they? That's the weird thing about the whole situation, right?
Yeah.
Like it's one thing to demand taking your staff with you. If you're Pochettino and you've got your boys, and those boys did well at Tottenham, they formed something, they grabbed something, they went to PSG and they go into America, and then if he comes back to the Premier League in a year or two's time, whatever else. I mean, look, maybe if Ange Postecoglou can keep, and I'm sure he will, keep Forest up because they're just too good. They're going to figure it out at some point. The squad is too good. Then maybe Pochettino would be a sort of manager that would, after the World Cup is done. I can't imagine Pochettino is going to stay in America after the World Cup, right?
Well, look at the guys we brought in from Hibs, Montgomery and his mate. They got the sack from Hibs, and yet they got a job as the number 2 to Ange. That was always for me, an alert. Matty Wells has stayed, and what's his name's gone on to be manager of West Brom. Ryan Mason, Davis left. Davis was a huge loss to Ange, I believe. Davis went to Birmingham, had a great first season, struggling a bit this season, but it's taken the remnants of that. Rob Birch, I think, has gone. Our goalkeeping coach has gone with him as well. So listen, it'd be interesting to see, but I just cannot see Sean Dyche being the man. I think it's mischief making, whether it's from the press or from Marinakis himself. But if you're going to dump Ange, you've got to go for a manager that's right out there with that squad.
Yeah. I personally think that this is Marinakis. I think the idea here for Dyche is to sit there and witness the fact that the fan base momentum, the energy in the fan base is often contributing. It seeps through into the minds of the players and stuff. And so, if this could be used as a catalyst to kind of garner some sort of momentum and movement behind Ange, because we'd rather have him than Sean Dyche, then maybe that will give him an extra wind if the energy just stops being so toxic. Because Ange Postecoglou has been on the receiving end of horrendous amounts of toxicity, rightly or wrongly, for well over a year now, right? So actually, it started about now, didn't it? Last year for Tottenham, really, because we were seventh, I think, by about October, and then we just fell off a cliff.
Listen, El Dante's saying he'd love to see Forest appoint Eric 10 minutes for Forest. Listen, it'd be an interesting one. I think whatever I think of Ange, I think you've got to give the guy. You can't be sacked, or can you? As we've seen before, De Boer's got the sack, Nuno got the sack, but to get the sack just after you sack Nuno, you shouldn't have sacked Nuno. I think we can more or less all agree with that. Did he deserve to get the sack, Sean? Absolutely not.
No, of course not. Of course not. No. Just other names quickly though, on this idea of where would he go next. This isn't the right. This is the article.
Where would Ange go next?
No, sorry. This is the next Nottingham Forest manager betting odds. You see this on the screen? So Sean Dyche is currently 2-1. Marco Silva 7-2.
He's the favourite. He's got to be the favourite. I'll tell you why, because he's got a relationship with him which he's maintained through his time at Olympiacos. They've kept together, and let's be honest, the squad that Forest have is far better than Fulham. So if I was a betting man, that would be who my money would be on 100%. Marco Silva.
Any chance the current guy at Olympiacos doing good things? Jose Luis Mendilibar. 12-1 to bring him across. A little bit of MCO, a little bit of multi-club ownership. Shenanigans, my man. Any thoughts on that one?
No. For me, the one that jumps out for me, without any doubt, is Marco Silva. And he's worked with him before, so he can handle the Marinakis madness. I think he was only there a year. It was a good few years ago. I can't remember exactly when, but I'm sure he was there for about a year at Olympiacos. So I think that's, for me, would be the likely one. Listen, the next three fixtures will tell us everything. As we said, Chelsea, Porto, Bournemouth. Lose all three, then you're in big trouble, and Bournemouth and Forest will be in big trouble. But listen, the way the league is at the moment, it's so tight. They could lose those games and probably win the next two after that and shoot right up the table. No one's really cut off at the moment, are they? Let's be honest. Apart from
definitely not. The league's wide open at this stage. 100%.
Yeah.
3 points and you go from 17th to 8th or something very quickly.
Yeah.
So. We shall see. But he's got a tough run, as have a few teams. Tottenham as well have got a tough runs coming up.
Crazy run. Yeah, crazy run. Watch the Spurs fan base implode when we, as expected, do lose games. When we play PSG, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, Newcastle twice, I suppose, in a very short space of time. So yeah, watch this space.
Shall we move on to some transfer news, views and clues, my man?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, actually, just quickly, Football Insider is saying Nottingham Forest have a real interest in Rafa Benitez as a replacement for Ange Postecoglou. Look, Football Insider are quite willing to just make any old thing up, and I'm usually happy to bring it up, but just wanted to, what do you think about Rafa Benitez? Is he out of work at the moment?
He's linked with every job, isn't he? Every week. He
was most recently the manager of La Liga club Celta Vigo. 65 years old. I don't know. One last song in the Premier League, maybe.
I can't see it. I really can't see it. I really can't. No, I can't see it. The one club that's struggling big time now. They put all their eggs in the Russell Martin, the 49ers group. We said at the beginning of the season, if you're a Leeds fan or you're a Rangers fan, you'll be keeping an eye on the transfer market to see with the 49ers group, which of their two assets is the most important. And I think it's pretty clear to see that Leeds United was massively more important. Spent a lot of money. It's not going to be easy for them, but they spent a lot of money. And at Glasgow Rangers, it almost became an also-ran as they appointed Russell Martin, die on the hill Russell Martin, and gave him every chance, and he just imploded. It was getting worse and worse and worse by the week. So they spent 2 days having sacked him in talks with Steven Gerrard to come back. Most Rangers fans would have liked that to happen. He's turned them down, as has, I believe, Gary O'Neill, who definitely could probably get another job. Harry Potter, who's lost his magic, and the old Sheffield Wednesday manager, I think, is up for potentially getting the post. Danny Rohal. So they're rudderless at the moment. So if you're going to sack someone, they should have been doing their due diligence beforehand, not sacking them. For me, it's like leaving your job without having another job to go to, right? Stupidity, right? If you're unhappy where you are, go and look for a new job first before you hand in your notice. And Rangers have got rid of their manager, and they're struggling to find a replacement. Just shows you how bad it is up there.
Yeah. Listen, mate, I'll take your word on it, mate. Like I say, I don't really know too much about Rangers ecosystem, but for what it's worth, Mikey Moore got a hat trick on the weekend, mate. So hopefully, obviously, it's England under 19s, but hopefully that he'll take that confidence and go back to Rangers and show those fans that they shouldn't be writing him off and shouldn't be so toxic towards a child, you know.
Well, the one thing to bear in mind is that maybe if they realise that Russell Martin's been playing him in the 8, which he's not an 8, right? He's not an 8. He plays out on the left or on the right, whatever, or he can play in the 10. He's not an 8. So asking a kid to go and play in a position he doesn't play in when the team is absolutely on its knees, and he is the scapegoat. When you consider all the professionals who have been there who aren't performing, to round on someone like Mikey Moore is poor form. But Sean, the good thing is to come into the England setup and score that hat-trick against Belgium, his first hat-trick for England. But I think it will give him mental toughness when later on in his career, when he does have a career and he comes across hard times, he'll be able to ride them out. Because if you can ride this shit out as a 17-year-old being abused week in and week out, getting booed when you touch the ball by your own fans, 17.
Really? I haven't seen that. Really?
Yeah. It's been some real bad shit. But listen, not great. But I believe he's made a stronger stuff. And as I said, to go on to England and score that hat trick against Belgium, not like Azerbaijan or Luxembourg or someone like that. A good side. Is 2 fingers up to them, and may it continue.
Let's move on a little bit, mate, to some transfer news, views, and clues. An interesting story out of Fischacious, who
him again.
take it with a piece of salt, but with a pinch of salt rather. But listen, they know a bit more about Portuguese and Spanish football than they do about other things going on. But massive story out today saying that Tottenham and Man United are in a battle for Sporting midfielder Morten Hulmand. Number 6, wonderful ball playing 6, can play in the 8. When he does drift forward, he's got a monster shot on him, lovely passing range, and wins more ball recoveries than 97% of other players that play in midfield. I've wanted him at Tottenham for a long time. He would cost about 60 million euros, allegedly. Varandas, though, the same problem always with Sporting players is Varandas draws this stuff out. First of all, do you give it any credit? Second of all, is it a priority to bring in, I guess it would be someone that would be mixing it up with Polinia rather than being in the 8? Don't know how much money Tottenham have got this summer. Obviously, we've got the £100 million injection. but whether or not that's for other things or how much of it's for money, for transfers or whatever. But is Hallman someone that Tottenham would really realistically be looking at?
100%. Look, I keep hearing all this chat. It's been going on for the last 2 years. What's the point of signing him? Where's he going to play? Right? It's a squad game, guys. It's not an 11-a-side tour. Yeah, it's 11-a-side when you go on the pitch, but over a season, it's not 11-a-side. And when you look at Arsenal have paid absolutely no attention to that bloody nonsense. None at all, right? They could have 5 or 6 injuries and it doesn't dent them at all. Same with Chelsea. Chelsea have lost 6 centre-backs or 5 centre-backs. They're still putting out a strong team. They just lost Enzo Fernandez in the Argentinian game against Venezuela. He limped off. But Arsenal's strength in depth is huge.
Yeah,
they've got 3, 4 players, on the wings. And you see, even Arsenal fans were saying, what's the point of signing him? Where's he going to play? Well, you see, Noni Makeledi's he's been injured. Norgard, Odegaard, right? All of them are getting injured, yet Havertz, and yet they've still put out an extremely strong squad. And Spurs we are not in that position right now. And if we lost Paulinho, the drop-off is huge. And
massive,
so,
mate,
yes,
massive, absolutely massive.
So for me, 100%. No player's going to play every single game. So yes, 100%. We should be in for this type of player. Top player,
But is he the priority, mate? If we have, I know, I don't want to go down the amortization route because I think a lot of people just think that if you've got £100 million injection and all of it's going to transfers, then what that really means is £500 million because you amortize £20 million over 5 seasons. It's not how it works. We've got loads of transfer debt also, so it's easier just to think of your transfer budget in real terms, even though it's obviously not, but it's just easier to do it. If you've only got £100 million to spend, then you're not going to drop 60 million quid on a defensive midfielder now when you need to go and get a left winger, a striker, and other places more in more a priority position, right?
I still think that there are ways to get round the debt we have, i.e. pay off that debt and go again and amortize it again. You can take loans. You can take loans against futures, like what they've done with the payday loan. Yeah, I think they'll find a way round it, Sean. I hear what you're saying, but you are not going to keep ENIC are not going to keep the fan base quiet by signing 2 players, right? Unless you go
in January. You think we should be looking to go for?
Well, no. Look. The thing is, it depends who those 2 players are. If you go out and you sign 2 statement signings,
well, would the fan base be happy if you got 1 Semenyo?
Yes.
Would they be happy if you got a Malik Fofana, who we'll come to in a minute, who's going to cost half the Semenyo? By the way, Johnny, just quickly, mate, for the benefit of the stream, your camera's frozen it comes back for 2 seconds, then it freezes for 45 seconds. Either it's your Wi-Fi or if you can clear your cache or both. It would be perfect if you could try that, mate, because the pause faces we've got of you right now look like you're it's not ideal.
Okay, obviously I'm not looking my best.
It's one of those like cum faces.
Is that any better?
It hasn't clicked back in yet. It might be your Wi-Fi. Your audio's fine, but it's just we can't. I look like I'm talking to a statue, basically. So, he's coming back. He's coming back in a second. Yeah, look, for me, just quickly on the Tottenham thing, I'm more than happy. There's stories out today about Julian Brandt. Let's see, he's coming back. He's coming back. Yeah, he's back in. There you go, mate. We're back. We're working nicely. Congratulations. Okay. Yeah. We see you alive. I hear your point, mate, around who it is and what it is. January is obviously a difficult window anyway. It's nice that the club put 100 million quid in. It's not enough, but it's also nice that there's also basically confirmed sort of narratives here that it's the first 100 of many more, hopefully. Depending on once they get together and figure out what they need, then they'll put the money in. Hope if that's all true, lovely to see. But and look, I mean, there's value out there, right? Players like Julian Brandt of Dortmund, 28, 29 years old, an unbelievable 10, by the way. Julian Brandt is a classy player. and he's only got 6 months left on his contract, Johnny. Now, if you go and buy him, like sometimes you have to just look at the value and say 15 million euros, 10, 12 million quid for a player of his quality. And go, you just get him, right? You get him and you figure out what to do with Maddison at the end of the season, or you figure out whatever else later.
Say though, Sean, just to say that when I look at what's gone on with Germany at the moment, only for me, Ekitiké's hit the ground running. Paulinia's hit the ground running because he knows the league. He's used to the league.
Voltemade's
done good. Voltemade's done good. Probably those two above everybody else. But I think, as someone was saying in the chat, you have to, Spurs now, or any club for that matter, you have to strike early in the transfer window. If you're going to let it run to Jan 30th, to try and do the deals, you might as well wait till the summer, almost. Mind you, saying that, Don Fabio bought in the transfer window death. He bought in Benton, Core and Kulu, and they changed the trajectory of our season dramatically. Yep. So, it can. And I remember when those players came in, everyone very underwhelmed. Why are we signing two players that can hardly get a game for...
we got Reject FC, wasn't it? That was what Alex Box Reject FC.
Yeah, exactly. Because, they proved to be anything but that. But, if you want to have ambition and if Enix say that, they want to have success, then we need to see determination to get these deals done early. And we saw Thomas Frank already saying that, they're already having meetings in the international break to discuss targets. If we're discussing those targets, we should be making contact with representatives of those targets in advance of the January window to make sure that when that window opens, we're first out the bell. Boom, gone.
It doesn't necessitate that. Again, it's the whole thing with the January window. I've used this analogy forever. It's like this Mexican standoff, mate, where nobody wants to shoot first, because if you're the selling club, then you don't know if you're going to get held hostage as a consequence of doing a trade by the club that you're going to buy the replacement from. And if you're the buying club, you don't know if you're going to be able to be held hostage by the club that you want to sell your...
Pay the right money, Sean. Pay the money.
No,
right?
I hear you on that. But then you get into the realms of overpayment problems, and that's also, that I hear you. I 100% hear you. Plus, there's also this other variable. Ever since the European football games changed their format, where a lot of teams don't want to sell their best players or their first team players until they know that they're secure in the top 8 or in the 9th to 24th spot of the Champions League or the Europa League or the Conference League, whatever. And those games don't finish until like the 27th of I think it's the 25th of January is the last week of game day 8. And so teams are like, and this is the other reason why
they don't want to sell, do they?
Unless they're out. Boring as hell until the final week, Johnny, and then the final week all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, but they don't want to sell. Look, we will sell if we crash out, or there will be teams
always secure in the next round. Or
they're already sure that they're out. In which case, it's easy to do the deal. But look, let's be honest. Spurs faffed around with the Eze deal. You can go on about he was an Arsenal fan. It's all crap at the end of the day. There's lots of clubs. Jamie Carragher was an Everton fan. He played for Liverpool. I can list them all for you, right?
Every single footballer supports a club, and the likelihood of them supporting the club that they play for is minimal.
Yeah,
right?
So all that crap that you see all the time, Semenyo will only go to Arsenal. This player will only go there. The reason why Spurs didn't get Eze is because we faffed around for days. If we'd have gone in there and offered the money that Parish wanted from the off, which Arsenal did after the injury to Carl Havertz, then we'd have the player. And we haven't been doing that because that's Daniel's way in the negotiating. If we are showing intent, or any club that shows intent has to go and pay the money. Liverpool
did it. If Kai Havertz wasn't injured, do you think he would be a Tottenham player?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
100%. Yeah, okay. That's what I believe, 100%. He entered in the morning and signed in the evening. I mean, well,
and they weren't going to pay anything like the 68 million or whatever they ended up paying, right? The whole narrative from everybody, if you listen to if you trust any of these people, the whole narrative was nobody wants to pay the money. And Daniel Levy might have been aware of that and gone, okay, then we're the only people that are really in for him. We're the people that can afford it. And then as soon as the injury happened, the goalpost moved.
Everything moved that day. It moved like wildfire. It moved quickly. But listen, as I say, all clubs, Chelsea, they want a player, pay the money. Arsenal, pay the money. Liverpool paid the money. Man United tried to drag their feet and Brian Mbeumo and ended up paying more than they probably wanted to pay. Maybe if they'd gone in with the right money. They did it with Mateus Cunha. They paid 63 million, bang, paid the money straight off. The problem for them was they thought they were going to sell Bruno Fernandes for 100 million to Saudi, and suddenly they didn't have that money. So anyway, we shall see. We shall see. But clubs with ambition have to pay the money if you in that January window. But it's notoriously hard to get any top player to move in January. If you look at Kolo Muani, Spurs obviously were interested in him, but he only went to Juventus. But even Juventus couldn't do that deal. It had to be a loan. And then even they couldn't complete it. So I'm quite happy Spurs came out and did a major loan deal with an option, Sean. That's a possibility.
Yep.
Well, we shall see. We shall see.
Do you? I don't want to dwell on Tottenham too much longer. We've got more to talk about, but just getting back to that kind of January expectation. So you said a minute ago that you think that Tottenham fans won't tolerate essentially like an uninspiring window. If it's not Semenyo, and it's someone of a lower level, like maybe not necessarily lower level, like an Ndiaye from Everton, a Fofana. Listen, Kenyon Yildiz, I mean, everyone would love him as well. But if it's someone lower than that on the left-hand side, that's not going to be enough, right? Then you start to need to add a second player into the transfer window.
I think the thing is, like, I love my football. I've been watching it for way too long and spend far too long watching too much football. But you cannot, as much as football as I watch, you cannot be certain that a player that you haven't done your due diligence that suddenly comes out of the woodwork isn't going to be the next star. How did we know that Dean Huijsen was going to be the player that he was? Or Kirkes, who actually hasn't been so good since going to Liverpool, or Zabani. These players weren't 50, 100, 60 million pounds players right from the bat off. So we have expectations. All fans at all clubs have expectations. I'm sure when Forest were signing all the players that they were signing, they would be going, who's this guy? Oh, I don't know anything about this guy. Is this really the level we're at? Is this the sort of player we want? We need a big name. Every club does that, Everton fans there will be those that will be creaming themselves with excitement. They've got Jack Grealish on loan. There'll be others who are saying it's waste of transfer money. I think the problem is we all have high expectations for our clubs, and the January window, you can want a Semenyo, but if a Lookman came in, I wouldn't be complaining either, Sean. That's the reality of it for me. I wouldn't be complaining. But if another name came in that maybe fans didn't know so well, there would be uproar until that said player starts performing and they see him on the pitch. Yep. Maybe it's great talent ID.
Yeah. No, I hear you, mate. I hear you. Jonny, I want to move the conversation along a little bit. I want to ask you this hypothetical. Right? There's a lot of people that are retweeting this on Twitter. And it's a really interesting idea. Whether it would work, I don't know. But you know that you've heard, obviously, you're an NFL fan like I am. You know about draft day, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen these rumors knocking around that they're considering potentially having a day where towards the end of the summer window? I don't know how you would do it because you'd need to have players in and around the training ground or whatever. Being a part of the practice before the season starts. But this notion of the weekend before the Premier League with the season starts, nobody's allowed to know anything about any transfer deals that have taken place over the summer. And then it's almost like a draft day in as much as a one big giant TV show or whatever, where every club comes out one by one and announces their player trading that's happened. On paper, I know it'd be very, very difficult to actually facilitate keeping things private, quiet, so, all that stuff. But on paper, wouldn't that be a way to absolutely blow records out of the window for additional money coming in, for the amount of eyes that would be on that particular, even if you could do it like once every 3 or 4 weeks or whatever, like over the window, like you don't announce anything that happens in May until the end of May, anything that happens in June until the end of June, anything that happens in July until the end of July, August, and so forth. And then you basically have just one big giant draft system where everyone gets to know exactly who you signed in that last 4 weeks. Wouldn't that be just fucking awesome?
It would, but how's that going to work with players needing to be part in the squad?
Yeah, of course.
Training and stuff like that. Where I think I would be leftovers, a leftover draft where all the players who don't have a contract or have been made available go into a draft, some draft with the option of other clubs buying them. I can't actually see, if I'm brutally honest, I can't actually see how that would work.
No, it would never work. It would never work.
They can't agree. They can't agree on PSR and FFP. So
yeah, no, 100%. It would never work. It would never, because you have to get all of football to buy into it as well, right? So
yeah, what FIFA are looking at, and UEFA has been the malaise as far as internationals is concerned. They are beginning to see fatigue, European fatigue, world qualifying fatigue. It doesn't feel like it used to be. I mean, you mentioned the other day you've got no interest in the qualifiers or friendlies, you said, maybe a major qualifier. But I think there's so many games now.
International friendlies I've got no interest in, but I'll watch the qualifiers and I'll watch the actual tournament.
Now, with 48 teams qualifying and 64, there's no real jeopardy. The jeopardy is going, and I think they've made a mistake. There's far too many games, and there isn't the interest like there has been. I saw an article that FIFA and UEFA are looking to have a meeting to try to arrest the malaise that's descended on that. I mean, back in the day, I used to have a debenture seat for Wembley, and I used to go and watch everything that was at Wembley. And when I was there, I mean, it was like England versus Liechtenstein, and like, how'd you get up for that?
Yeah,
I mean. Yeah,
why'd you buy the debenture?
Because I thought at the time it was the romance of going back to Wembley, and yeah,
you had a good day trading, didn't you?
Let me just tell you.
Options, they really paid off.
Everyone I spoke to who had bought a Wembley 10-year debenture was counting down the days to them ending. Right. But it was all right when Spurs were there.
Yeah, I bet. Mate, let's crack on. Mark Guehi, a player that, in fact, listen, we have to talk about this one, but the story starts with Crystal Palace have identified the replacement if Mark Guehi does choose Liverpool or somewhere else in January, and they're looking at Max Kilman as a potential replacement, and they're essentially opening up the door to saying, if the right money comes in and we can get Max Kilman or someone like him in, then we will, essentially, we'll be okay taking whatever 25 million or whatever it's going to cost. First of all, what's your thoughts on that? But I do want to bring this stat up, right? I know you're a massive Mark Guehi fan, and you know that I also rate him. I just don't rate him the same as you do. I think he's not that great. And I want to show this stat to the guys on the screen on the channel, in case you haven't seen it. So this is a 2025-26 comparison for the majority of the departments of the game in which Mark Guehi, Ibrahim Konate, and Upamecano as the three targets on this particular data comparable. They're defenders, right? So the sort of divisions of the game here are defensive duels 1 as a percentage, aerial duels 1 as a percentage, carrying the ball, passes in different formats. And look, we know that the passing requirement from centre-backs over the last 10 years has jumped up massively to the fact where, right now, 8 of the 10 people in last season's Premier League that have the most passes completed are centre-backs. But this stat still includes all of the traditional defensive, capabilities. And if you look, they're comparing this to all centre-backs, Jonny. And I know I rate him as well, but I think he is overrated generally. Defensive duels won, he's in the 27th percentile. Aerial percentage duels won, he's in like the 17th percentile. Carrying the ball, outperformed by Upamecano and Ibrahim Konate. Passes, 30th percentile. Forward passes, 50th percentile. Progressive passes, which is important, he is in the 75th percentile, I think that is. Possessions won. He's down in like 15th percentile stuff relative to other 5 leagues and other centre-backs, mate. And is Mark Guehi as good? Not saying he's not good, but is he as good as the market suggests he is?
I believe so. I mean, look, we can look at reverse stats as well. If you look at, for example, I don't want to make it about Spurs here, but if you look at our goalkeeper, Vicario, and you look at his performance this season, it's been quite shocking. His distribution's been shocking. His aerial catches and catching the ball from free kicks and corners and everything. And then I see the MB stats, MB data stats, and he's number one in everything, right?
He's number one in the stats that have been cherry picked for that particular thing.
Well, yeah, but the point is,
but these are like 7 specific categories that are incredibly.
No one's going to tell me. I listen. Everyone's entitled to their opinion about a player, and I respect it. But for me, Mark Guehi is more than just the stats. It's the leadership he has on the pitch. It's his strong character, captain material, and his all-round performance. And it's no coincidence that Crystal Palace, with a top manager and someone who understands him, look, he got rid of Anderson and brought in Lacroix from Wolfsburg, and the two of them have formed an instant partnership. I'm not sure whether Lacroix is making Mark Guehi look better, but I would think that Lacroix being a really good find by Thomas Glasner. I just think that Mark Guehi is a top player. I really do.
But I want to say this. If I put in Mark Guehi 24-25, it still doesn't look good. And then compare him to Mark Guehi of 25. I'm just doing this on the screen as I look.
Well, he played for England the other day, right? He played for England. Not against no one.
Stats, mate. They are. That's last year versus this current year.
2 assists. 2 assists for 3 of the goals. I mean, I think he's a top player, Sean. I understand you're looking at the stats, but there's more to just stats. Otherwise, if it was just purely stats.
Oh, I'm not saying it is just purely stats, but I've genuinely always thought that guy is overrated. I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's a very good player, but people put him in like the top 10 centre-backs in the Premier League level, top 5 centre-backs, some people. And I'm like, he isn't.
So would I.
You would? I see. I wouldn't. I don't think. I think he's overrated on so many levels that I don't think Liverpool's problems are solved by signing Mark Guehi.
Well, they're certainly in a problem now without him. That's for sure.
For sure.
They're in a corruption freak.
The comparative is players like Upamecano, right? Who are Champions League proven, Bundesliga proven, a lot of experience, unbelievable passers, unbelievable leadership. Everything that you think is fantastic about Mark Guehi is represented in Upamecano. I think that if I'm Liverpool, it depends on how much you want to build for the future. I know there's also the value of the English tax and the homegrown thing. Like Crystal Palace won't be able to apply the English tax because he only has 6 months left on his contract. But they might be able to get more money out of Liverpool than they would Real Madrid or Bayern Munich because the English homegrown thing doesn't count for those clubs. But I'm just sitting there thinking, if Liverpool don't have to, if Liverpool's aren't struggling with the homegrown thing, then I wonder whether or not they could get just as much value but a better player from someone like Upamecano.
So Upamecano, I was a big fan of his, and then he gets the big move, and his form falls off of a cliff. You know, we've seen lots of defenders that look the nuts and then fall off a cliff. Matthew De Ligt, you know, when he was playing for Ajax, he looked like a worldie. You know, certain players they have moments. Upamecano was a top player. Then he went off the ball. Now he's coming back. We see it time and time again with players. And when we look at stats, there might be a moment in time when we're looking at those stats. You know, what is that period of stats? By the way, I didn't even ask you what was the period of stats.
That's this season. But if you, as I put up a minute ago, like when you compare him Guehi this season stats to last season stats, the only thing he improves on is some of his passing last season versus this season. Last season was better, but Upamecano's performance again, it's but it's all against the top 5 leagues. It's all against the top 5 leagues. So you're comparing everything. Obviously, Bayern Munich have different levels of competition. So, like,
and the German league, come on, let's put
half league. Right? So I'm not saying that it's a game, set, and match, opinion here. I personally believe that Mark Guehi is a very good player, but he is spoken about like he is top draw, infallible, and perfect, and he is far fucking from it. In my opinion.
Tell me one that's perfect, infallible. There's none that are infallible.
Oh, of course not. But people talk about Mark Guehi like he's better than he is.
Look, I'm a massive fan of Romero, okay? And the shit that he was getting last season, and I've never wavered in my belief that he's top player, right? Top centre-back. I don't care what anyone says. Everyone can have their opinion. My opinion is top. All last season, Spurs fans, get rid. That's all you used to hear. Loads of it. And consistent right through most of the season.
Not because he's a bad player, though.
Yeah, his heart's not in it. Look at all the mistakes he's made. Bozo moments. Loads of bozo moments. And he did have bozo moments.
People that had enough of Romero, Johnny, were more around his commentary, not his performance on the pitch.
No. Listen, look, the fact of the matter is everybody looked crap defensively under Ange Postecoglou's system. Okay, so it's also systems. Anyway, my point is that if you're looking at consistency over and over, then probably your number one will be William Saliba. If you're looking at consistent week in, week out, month in, month out, he's been absolutely superb. But some defenders, depending on the setup, waver. I think Crystal Palace have been superb this season. They've hardly conceded a goal. In fact, those last goals that they conceded against Everton to lose the game was due to tiredness after the European game when they were away. Was it Dynamo Kiev or whoever it was? I can't remember who they were playing. But anyway, that's for another day. It will split opinion, but that's what happens in football. If everyone agreed on football players, life would be boring.
100%, 100%, mate. Well, so that's the Mark Guehi story anyway. It's the Mark Guehi story to go around. There's more stories out when you go to now. Manchester United, Johnny, want to strengthen their midfield and are planning to launch, get this, a £60 million move for Adam Wharton. What does that buy? His haircut or something? What are we doing here? United are believing that a bid in that region would be good enough to tempt Crystal Palace to sell their sought-after playmaker. As reported many times, Wharton is wanted by a host of clubs, including Real Madrid, Liverpool, and Chelsea. That's from the Mirror. Bit shameless, mate. £60 million doesn't touch the size, does it? I've got to run for a wee, mate. I'll be back in 1 second. Carry on.
Yeah, they need to. I think the Daily Mirror need to look at themselves in the mirror to actually ask themselves the question: how believable is that story? Totally unbelievable. If they think they're going to get Adam Wharton for 60 million out of Crystal Palace, have a word with itself. It's got absolutely no chance. I think it would have to be 100 million to get him out. When they look at Caicedo and some of the players that have gone out from Brighton and the money they've gone for in the last two years, that's the money. He was a player that I was desperate for Spurs to buy in that January window. We were looking at various players, and Dougie Freeman did an absolutely fantastic job nipping in early doors and paying 25 million, including all the add-ons to Blackburn. I just didn't think that he would land as well as he did and end up in the England squad at the end of that season. He has had quite a lot of injuries, a lot of niggling injuries. As he's growing, his body's sort of changing. He's had a few knocks, but he's absolutely superb. I mean, I remember watching him at Blackburn, Sean. I'm no joking, right? You know how I feel like I can watch something football, and suddenly there's a player that stands out like massively. And at Blackburn, you think, well, there's no chance he's not going to make it in the Premier League. It's a bit like Jared Bowen when you used to watch Jared Bowen for Hull, and I couldn't understand Spurs. Why don't we? No, it's the transition. It's in the Championship. Can he do it in the? And there's always that, he's here. Adam Wharton, he's doing it in the Championship, but can he really? It's a different league when he steps up. I don't believe that gap is as massive as people say it is. If he's a real standout player, we've seen it with Grealish, we've seen it with Bowen, and now we've seen it with Adam Wharton, straight into the England team within like 4 months of moving in that January window. He's £100 million player, whether you like it or not. That's how much you're going to have to pay to get him. And with Real Madrid probably looking at Enzo Fernandez, where they're going to have to probably pay 120 million if they want to get him in their midfield. I would think, who would it be? Liverpool? Will Liverpool have the money still to go and spend that after all they spent in the summer? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool have to fix a few more spots, don't they, than just central midfield. Although Adam Wharton for sure would be unbelievable in that role for them. But they also need to find space for the centre back. Well, like we said, we talked about Guehi, we talked about Upamecano. Maybe going for an Upamecano that will be cheaper than Mark Guehi potentially, given his status at Bayern Munich. Maybe that's the way of then finding the wiggle room in their own budgets to be able to find the money for Adam Wharton. Mate, a random story here out of Defensa Central in Spain.
I love a random, Sean. I love a random. Just before you go into a random, guys, if you're in the chat, please hit the like button. Helps the algorithm. And if you are watching, we know there's a lot of you out there. There's hundreds of you out there who watch the show and never hit the subscribe button. So please hit the subscribe button. Doesn't hurt you, but it certainly helps us. Subscribe doesn't mean it costs you any money. It just means that when you come onto YouTube, you can find us. Thanks very much for that. Go on, Sean.
If you are someone that goes onto Spotify or Apple Pods or any Amazon things, then look out for Football Inc. and give us a follow over there. Would be great. Johnny, this one's a strange one. So this is from Defensa Central, who are a big Real Madrid, big Spanish football outlet, huge. Lamine Yamal is reportedly frustrated with Hansi Flick's public criticism of him and has not ruled out leaving Barcelona if things don't change, i.e. if he doesn't shut his face. Paris Saint-Germain are prepared to break the world record transfer fee to sign him, but Yamal would prefer a move to the Premier League. I told you it's a wild one.
Comedy. Hang on. Like, first of all, we had Adam Wharton in the Daily Mirror for 60 million, right? Which is laughable. Now we're up in the ante and we're going Lamine Yamal to Palace.
First of all, let's figure out how much he would cost. 500 grand a week minimum, right?
If you're lucky.
In pounds, minimum 500 grand a week, probably, I'd imagine.
He's probably on that now, clear.
Yeah. And then, what do you reckon, 200 million quid?
No chance. No chance. No chance. They'd probably want like 300 million if you're lucky. It would be telephone numbers. Telephone numbers.
Who could do it?
Well,
Could anybody in world football realistically afford him?
Well, I don't know. Listen, Joe's on his last legs. Maybe he's left a little bit of money for Lamine Yamal as a going away present for the Spurs fans.
All will be forgiven by the Lewis family if we can bring that kid in, right? But I'll be honest, mate. I'll be entirely honest.
200 plus. It's over 200. It's probably
100%. 100% it's 200 plus, right? But like 500 million, whatever. Like, this is never going to happen. And if it did, it would break the game. There's not a team in the Premier League that could pay that amount of money without breaching FFP. I don't think. Right?
How much? So Neymar had a buyout. Was it of 250?
Forget about buyout clause. Forget buyout clauses are irrelevant.
No, but I'm saying they just came along and paid the money, didn't they? PSG.
Yeah, that was back in a long time ago, wasn't it?
Correct. So that's why I'm saying to you 300 million plus.
I think he's got a buyout clause of 1 billion though, so if we can write that one off, right? But like sort of 250, whatever, something like that, maybe 300 million. You're right, something obscene. Is there a club in world football that can afford that?
No, but is Barcelona a club that can afford to not accept that when they have such horrendous debt right now? Could they restructure their whole team?
Yeah, and 100%. And this kid is starting to show the earmarks of the petulance of Vinny Jr., of an Mbappe. He's starting
his hair blonde.
He's starting to behave a little bit like he's above everybody else, at 18 years old.
Is he giving you Garnacho vibes? He's got a bleached top. Is he getting distracted by outside things? Who knows? Yeah. It's very difficult. Look,
is it more likely though? I think Ed M's bringing the thing up here. Is it more likely that Hansi Flick gets sacked to appease Yamal than Yamal leaving Barcelona?
To be honest with you, I think Herr Flick is a fantastic coach. As can be seen what he did with Barcelona last year, he returned players who couldn't perform at all, like Rafinha, for example, who was playing out wide and not getting involved in games, pushing through the middle, and suddenly he was reborn. I think he's a very, very good coach, but you're not a million. Yeah, he's a brilliant coach, but I don't think you're a million miles away with the fact that, but if Barcelona got to the stage where they sacked the manager because of a player, I think it's a rabbit hole that they don't want to go down, because once you do that, you're giving away power to the players, and clubs have already got enough problems wrestling back control of player power, because back in the day it used to be clubs who owned and run the show. Now it's players. I think no. But we shall see. Spurs King in the chat said that Yamal's hero growing up was Eric Lamela. Eric Lamela was my hero, even when I was grown up. Loved him.
Yeah,
his shithouse. Absolutely loved Lamela. What a fella.
Yeah, listen, we'll part that story and see if it grows legs later on. But other news, mate. Newcastle are ready to try and re-sign Nottingham Forest and the England midfielder Elliot Anderson, having only sold the homegrown talent because of financial fair play issues. Elliot Anderson, what a player he's become, mate.
Yeah, listen, look, they didn't want to sell him. They were forced to sell him for FFP and PSR. So what we're saying now, they would have to buy him back for 3 times what they paid for him, which will put him over FFP and PSR.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you sold him for the reason, and by buying him back for 3 times what you sold him for, that would put you over the limit. No, yeah, I'm not.
How much did they sell him for?
Escaped me right this moment. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah,
I can't.
Right now, hang on. He went for.
Trying to remember now. 35 million was it?
He went for 41.2 million euros, about 35 million.
I wasn't far off. Bayern Munich
3 times, but they probably have to pay 60 million quid to get him back, wouldn't they?
He ain't getting him for 60 million.
No, don't reckon?
No chance. No chance. Bayern Munich are interested in Nottingham Forest defender Murillo. And that's from Christian Falk. Top defender. He's only getting better. He's an absolute tank, isn't he? An absolute tank. Could you imagine right now if he
doesn't suit a Forest style of play, mate? He's not fast.
Well, not the new Forest style of play. He perfectly suited Nuno's.
Yeah.
But could you imagine though if Murillo or his partner ended up with hamstring injuries? They would be in a mess, because Murillo, some of his defensive blocks and stuff have been fantastic. But you can definitely see him at Bayern Munich. Upamecano going one way. I mean, his agents are not planning to make any...
goes to Forest, in my opinion.
Well, no. I meant going into the Premier League, not Florian Plettenberg is saying Upamecano's agents are not planning to make any concessions to Bayern Munich at this stage. They have presented their figures to Bayern, and it is now up to the club to decide whether they improve their offer again or not. And if they don't accept it, there are plenty of clubs who will pay it. So we shall see. We shall see. I mentioned, Chelsea are interested in Upamecano. That's for sure, because they need another centre-back, don't they? And as I mentioned before, Enzo Fernandez is got a lot of interest coming from Real Madrid, but he's left the camp injured. I was going to say to you, the one that was a bit of a shock to me, which will definitely be alarming Liverpool fans. I'm not sure why, but Ibrahim Konate left the French national team squad and returned to Liverpool. But I couldn't see anything on it, Sean. Is he injured, or is he maybe had a falling out with the national squad? Have you seen anything on it?
No.
Benjamin Pavard has been called up to replace him. So one would suggest that that's an injury. In which case, that would leave Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk as the only two fit centre-backs at Liverpool.
I've got it here. Hang on. This is from WTOP. Ibrahim Konate was released from the squad on Saturday pending a thigh injury picked up while playing for Liverpool against Chelsea. He didn't play against Azerbaijan. Fears are stoked that the player could be out for several weeks.
Whoa, they are in big shit. They really are. We said it weeks before the transfer window closed, and now it's coming to pass. It seems to me like the Premier League are actually handing Arsenal the title at the moment, because
I'm not sure Arsenal will win the title, but the team that finishes above Arsenal will win the title.
I think Arsenal will win it, as much as it pains me to say it. I'm
sort of saying that indirectly, that if Arsenal don't, they'll be second, and the team that finishes above them will grab it. Mate, there's another story here, just quickly, and that's a big one, by the way. I hadn't seen that, so good find. Thomas Ziliakos.
I met him in a restaurant out here in Cyprus.
He sounds like he's Greek, but he's actually Finnish. He's Finnish. If he buys this club. Finnish businessman Thomas Ziliakos has a new proposal for Manchester United. Ziliakos has a new plan to approach potential investors in a bid to buy United. The Finnish entrepreneur put forward a proposal that could have earned the club $20 billion in 2023. Ziliakos rivaled the likes of Sheikh Jassim and Sir Jim Ratcliffe when the Glazers put the club up for partial full sale 2 years ago. Although his fan-led proposal fell short, he claims it could have been a lucrative one. He's now looking at... Sorry?
It's funny you mentioned his name, because my sister lives out in Singapore, and I'm more than certain that they met this guy out in... Because my sister don't know anything about football. She didn't even mention football. And she was telling me when that happened 2-3 years ago, that there's a guy she met and that they met out there who was looking to buy Manchester United, and I just laughed. And then, of course, his name came up, and I've not heard anything about him since. And until this article's reared its head again.
It's a new article. It's a new article. It's out this morning.
Yeah, no, I just
saying that Ziliakos. Yeah, he tried to put a bid in a couple of years ago, tried to be a part of it, didn't work out. It was a fan-led takeover that he said was a $20 billion total valuation package, and he said he had no problem working with the Glazers. He'd be fine. He wants to get involved if Sir Jim Ratcliffe et al. Have had enough. Then he'll happily come in and step in and take over, and he's going to try and get together a consortium. This isn't the first time, mate. This is what happened a couple of days ago. We spoke about this. Turkey,
Turkey Al Sheikh
guy. Turkey Al Sheikh said he knows that there's a bid coming from for Tottenham for Manchester United. Maybe this is all connected.
Well, listen, I think that the Glazers have finally seen the bill for fixing the hole in the roof. They have milked that club with that leveraged buyout for years and years and years and years. They've had the money
business from them.
Over and over again. It's just been a cash cow. And now still sell up, even in Man United in the state that it's in today, and make billions. So I think maybe now's the time for the Glazers to exit stage right with another massive payday, and the new owners with a massive bill to build a new stadium and rebuild the club to its former glories. I think maybe now's the time for them to sell. I mean, the amount of dividends, maybe a Man United fan could come in here and tell us the amount of money. I'm sure there's someone in here. We've had Sam's normally in here. How much the Glazers have taken out of Manchester United since they've owned the club. It should be a spectacular number, I would have thought.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff, mate. Fascinating stuff. And that's about it, mate. I think we've got ourselves up to date there.
Let me just have a look. Casemiro last season. Bruno Fernandes story just keeps rolling backwards and forwards. 1 minute he's off to Saudi, next minute he's blissfully happy. Keenan Yildiz. We saw the Hoyman story. There's one story though, Sean, that we haven't spoken about. We'll end with a Spurs story, and that's Tottenham are meant to be extremely keen on signing FC Porto's attacking sensation Samu Akakawa. Right?
Sorry, say his name again. It's Agahawa.
Akahawa.
Yeah, Samu Agahawa. Yeah, cracking player from Porto. Yeah.
Right now. They're saying despite having made significant investments to bolster the attack in recent seasons, Tottenham still lack the firepower in the final third. The North London club haven't been able to address striker issues, and they are considering signing a number 9 in the future. According to Peter O'Rourke via the Football Insider, Spurs are considering making a move for Samu Agahawa. Thomas Frank's team have scouted him in the past, and they will push for the signature of a 21-year-old striker who has been doing wonders for FC Porto. The Spanish striker has only gone from strength to strength since joining the Portuguese outfit from Atletico Madrid in the summer of 2024. His consistent performances have put him on the radar of multiple top clubs.
He's all right, mate. He's a good player.
We should see him, though. We should be able to see him next week when Nottingham Forest play Porto.
I followed him for a long time. I think he's a good player. He is a very good player. He's very physical, very domineering. He's got a lovely little left foot on him, and he's decent with both feet. He's strong in the air. But, he only ever scores against the bottom half teams. I think he scored 1 goal against Benfica. Every other goal that he scored has been against the teams that no one really thinks or knows too much about in Portugal. And, you look at someone like, and he's only 23, right? But if you look at someone, or 22, whatever it is, but if you look at someone like Guehi, who scored 3 times as many goals or twice as many goals as he did, and then he comes to the Premier League and he's got 2 goals in 10 games. One of them was a penalty. But we could put that metric. Florian Wirtz, who came Yeah, I did. By the way, I said to you in the summer, Florian Wirtz, massive overpayment. No chance he's worth that money. I said it to you, mate, and thus far I've been proven right.
Just to say to you, Nikos has come back to us with a number. Thank you, Nikos. That the Glazers have taken so far a very cool £1.4 billion in dividends. They ain't crying. Plus the money that they got from Jim Ratcliffe for that stake, plus how much they're going to get if they sell out. So they have to notify. But they have to notify the stock market, the stock exchange, if there is a serious bid. That's part and parcel of a listed company. But we got a super chat, Shawnee.
They're not listed on the UK. They're listed on the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, NASDAQ or the US stock market. But they still have to make that declaration.
Of course. Yeah, 100%. We've got a couple of super chats. Haven't done these. Sorry, Dino. I forgot to do it right at the end of the show. Appreciate you so much, my man. He started the super sticker train and he's finished. My man, Dino. Houdini. Shut up, boys. Good to see you. Good to see you, Dino. Appreciate you so much, my man, as always. Always here, always supporting. We appreciate you very much. And Blainester. Big up to you, Blaine. Big up, lads. How are you guys feeling ahead of next Sunday, given Watkins seems to be over his slump and Villa are playing okay again? Hopefully get a few jars with you both next weekend. Certainly will, mate. Certainly will. Looking forward to meeting you, buddy.
We're trying to meet up.
I'm feeling a little bit... I think we'll win.
Well, listen, Watkins collided with the post. Hopefully it was a heavy collision and his knees rather swollen up at the moment and makes him unable to play. But yeah, I get your point. They're looking like Emery's got them firing once again. It's not going to be an easy game, that is for sure. Will we look to negate their game, or will we look to play our own? That's going to be the interesting part. I think we can come through this one with a win. I will be very, very happy because our fixture list for the end of October and November is absolutely insane.
Yeah, listen, I think that Aston Villa they're starting to. Well, they've definitely turned their form around, haven't they? They're starting to get going. Slow out of the traps, but it's not how you start; it's how you finish. But I do think we can Tottenham can get the 3 points at home. We've got a good record against Villa, generally speaking. And look, if everyone's fully fit, hopefully also we might be able to see a couple of minutes from Randall Moana. He got 45 minutes yesterday in a behind the closed door friendly, with Matisse Tell and Odebert doing bits in their under 21s games for France. I think everybody looking a little bit confident. I hope everyone's going to make it back from international duty unscathed, Blaine. But more importantly, mate, I can't wait to meet you, mate. And we're going to get ourselves. Listen, let me know where you're staying. And you and I'll get the train up and then we'll go to the game and then we'll go to the casino and all bets are off. Or maybe all bets are on. You know, we'll see what happens, Blaine. But it's going to be fun to see you, my man. Thank you very much for the super chat. Johnny, I'll leave it for you to say goodbye, buddy.
Yes, so before I go, guys, on your way out, good housekeeping, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. And if you're listening later in audio, please hit the follow and leave us a review. That would be great. But right now, have a great what's left of the weekend. Go watch the NFL. Some good games in the red zone. It's goodbye from me.
Before I say it's goodbye from him, I want to say this man right here, Nikos, is my partner in crime for Sunday's show. Big up to you, Nikos. If you guys are interested in conspiracy theory content, nothing to do with football. If you want to know the red pill and the deep in the rabbit hole, all that sort of shit, then you can find it Sunday night, tonight, about 8 o'clock. We're doing it. Johnny, you're more than welcome if you've got the time, although I know you're with the missus on your holiday. But get over to Rabbit Hole Ramblings, it's called on YouTube, and we'll see you later on for some fun.
Nikos is very good at rabbit hole theories, not so good at score predictions, but...
Exactly, 100%. We'll talking about all that stuff
next week. We'll be back with that score predictions, and we'll be back following the clubs that we've all been there. Just to let you know, my Cremonese shirt has still not arrived. Cremonese will be out of business by the time that one. Terrible.
Guys, we'll leave it there.
All right, guys.
Sorry, it's goodbye from. It's goodbye. You always say it's goodbye from me, and I'm going to say it's goodbye from him. Bye.
Bye.